Insecurities are one of those things that every single human being carries, no matter how old, wise, or experienced they become. And yet they are also one of the most damaging things you can openly throw into a relationship without control. The reason is simple. When you hand your insecurities over to another person, you give them power they were never supposed to have. You turn the steering wheel of your self-worth into their hands. And the truth is, nobody is qualified to drive that for you. As an older woman, you've lived long enough to know where those insecurities come from. Comments from your past, failures that still sting, comparisons that play in your head, or even the way the world tries to define what beauty, value, and relevance should look like. The mistake is not in having them, because we all do. The mistake is in letting them dominate the space of a relationship where love, trust, and growth are supposed to thrive. When you expose every insecurity without discretion, you risk allowing your partner to see you through a lens that even you haven't fully worked through. Instead of being known for your strength, resilience, and wisdom, you can be remembered for the doubts you carry about yourself. This doesn't mean you pretend to be perfect or flawless. It means you understand the difference between honesty and overexposure. There's a balance between sharing enough for someone to know you and dumping so much that they now carry the weight of your internal battles. Protecting your insecurities doesn't mean lying about who you are. It means deciding that not every struggle deserves an audience, and not every wound should be handed over for inspection. The reality is, some people, no matter how kind or well-meaning, don't know what to do with your insecurities. They may dismiss them, they may misunderstand them, or worse, they may use them against you in moments of conflict. That's the risk when you hand over something so fragile. You might trust today, but relationships go through storms, arguments, and even seasons where love feels distant. And in those moments, the things you've shared can come back like sharp weapons. An older woman, with her wisdom, recognizes that some of her deepest vulnerabilities should be processed privately, healed with time, prayer, self-reflection, or through the safe space of therapy, rather than laid bare at the feet of someone who might not handle them with the care they require. Hiding insecurities isn't about creating distance. It's about maintaining dignity. It's reminding yourself that you've earned the right to stand tall without constantly explaining where the cracks in your armor are. It's knowing that you don't have to audition for love or beg for validation by revealing every soft spot you carry. If your partner truly loves you, they will see the depth of who you are without needing a list of the fears that haunt you. They will respect the confidence you project, and in time, if the relationship proves safe and steady, you may choose to open up little by little, but that choice comes from a place of strength, not desperation. When you keep your insecurities guarded, you also protect the energy of the relationship. Instead of conversations being dominated by, "What if I'm not enough?" or "What if I don't measure up?" the dialogue shifts toward growth, shared goals, and joy. You've already lived through years of proving yourself to the world. You don't need to repeat that cycle inside your relationship. Love should be a partnership, not a performance, and the best way to honor that truth is by refusing to hand over the script of your deepest doubts for someone else to read. Think about how much lighter the connection feels when you show up as your best self rather than your most wounded self. There's a freedom in knowing that the little voices that tell you you're not good enough stay between you and your mirror, not between you and your partner. And in that space, you create room for admiration instead of pity, respect instead of concern, desire instead of doubt. You show up as the woman who has lived, learned, and risen, not as the woman waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. The beauty of maturity is that you understand timing, and timing is everything. There may come a day where you let someone in on one of those insecurities, but by then, you'll have tested their character, measured their loyalty, and seen how they handle your strength before you ever hand them your softness. Until then, you keep those insecurities locked away, not because you're cold, but because you're wise enough to know that love grows best when it's not overloaded with unnecessary baggage. And the truth is, protecting your insecurities doesn't make you less real, it makes you more powerful. It means you're no longer giving away pieces of yourself to anyone who simply asks. It means you've finally learned that your self-worth doesn't belong on the negotiation table of a relationship. It belongs to you and only you, and the more you protect it, the stronger your relationships will be. Your past mistakes are chapters that have already been written, pages that don't need to be reread out loud to someone else in order for them to understand who you are today. As an older woman, you've walked through seasons of missteps, bad decisions, wrong turns, and regrets that still sting when you think about them. But the key thing to remember is this: mistakes are meant to be lessons, not luggage you carry into every relationship. The danger of exposing every detail of your past errors to a partner is that it gives them access to a version of you that no longer exists. And while you may have forgiven yourself and moved on, they may not have the maturity to see you beyond those moments. That is why guarding your past mistakes is an act of wisdom, not deceit. When you open the door to every miscalculation you've ever made, you also risk planting seeds of doubt in someone's mind who didn't even know those details before. What was once healed can become questioned again. What was once closed can be reopened. And sometimes people don't see those mistakes as lessons, they see them as character flaws, even if you've long outgrown them. By holding those stories too loosely, you unintentionally shape how your partner perceives you, and instead of standing tall in the strength of who you've become, you end up shrinking under the shadow of who you once were. Not everything you've overcome needs to be a confession in your relationship, because some things are better left as proof to yourself that you survived, learned, and came out stronger. Another reality to consider is that not every partner knows how to handle the weight of your past. Maybe they say they want transparency, but when you hand them the full story, they don't have the grace to process it. They might hold on to it during arguments, use it as leverage, or simply allow it to cloud the way they see you in the present. You have to protect yourself from that possibility by being selective with what you share. Being wise with your words doesn't mean you're dishonest. It means you know how to protect your peace. You've already lived through the pain of those mistakes once. Why live through them again by handing them to someone who may not guard them well? There's also freedom in knowing that the person in front of you deserves to meet you as you are today, not as you were decades ago. The healed version, the wiser version, the stronger version, that's the woman they chose to be with. And if the relationship grows deep enough and earns your trust, you can choose to reveal certain things. But even then, it's your choice. The important part is that you're not obligated to put your past failures on display like a resume of shame. Your growth speaks louder than any story from your past ever could. Think about it. Every mistake you've made has already done its job. It taught you what not to do, it gave you wisdom, and it probably toughened your skin. If those lessons are already living inside of you, why would you need to put them on trial in front of someone else? You don't owe anyone the raw details of what you've walked through in order for them to respect the woman you are today. What you owe yourself is protection, dignity, and the decision to only share when it serves a purpose, not when it simply reopens scars that were meant to stay closed. Relationships thrive when both people focus on building something new, not digging through what has already been buried. When you hide your past mistakes, you give your relationship the space to breathe in the present. Instead of letting conversations spiral into what you once did, the focus stays on what you are doing now, what you are becoming, and what you and your partner are building together. And that, in the end, makes the bond stronger, not weaker, because it's not rooted in judgment, but in shared vision. Carrying your past mistakes into a relationship and laying them all bare is like moving into a new home and dragging in boxes of broken furniture you don't even use anymore. It clutters the space and makes it harder to see the beauty of what's being built. By choosing not to unpack those boxes, you keep the foundation clear and the energy fresh. You don't deny what happened, you simply decide it doesn't belong in the center of your new life. That kind of wisdom creates an atmosphere of peace instead of tension, of progress instead of regression. And here's the truth: you don't owe anyone your unfiltered history just to prove that you're honest. Honesty isn't about exposing every wrong turn. It's about showing up consistently, truthfully, and fully in who you are now. Protecting your past mistakes is not about hiding the truth. It's about refusing to let what's behind you hold power over what's ahead of you. You've already paid the price for those mistakes, so why let them keep costing you in your present relationship? Family conflicts are one of those things that can feel like quicksand when you bring them into a relationship. As an older woman, you've seen how family dynamics can be complicated, messy, and sometimes deeply personal in ways outsiders simply cannot understand. Every family carries its own history, its own wounds, its own secrets, and even its own loyalties. And while it might feel natural to vent or unload those conflicts to your partner, doing so often invites unnecessary tension into your relationship. When you reveal too much about your family issues, you risk creating judgments in your partner's mind about people they may never truly know, and once those judgments are planted, they're very hard to erase. That's why keeping certain family conflicts private is not about shutting your partner out, it's about preserving peace where peace is most needed. The danger of exposing family conflicts in a relationship is that it creates unnecessary division. Your partner might take your side, but in doing so, they can develop resentment toward your family members. And if reconciliation ever happens down the road, your partner will still be holding onto words you once shared in anger or frustration. What was temporary for you could become permanent for them. This imbalance can create subtle but lasting strain in your relationship because while you can move past what your sister, brother, or parent said, your partner might not be able to forget it so easily. By keeping those conflicts to yourself, you give space for resolution without dragging your relationship into battles that were never theirs to fight. It's also important to understand that not all family conflicts are meant to be understood by outsiders. Some issues are layered in years of history, tradition, and culture that your partner may not fully grasp. Explaining it to them often leaves them confused or worse, forming opinions based on limited details. This not only burdens your partner with stress they can't fix, but it also leaves you feeling misunderstood when they don't respond the way you hoped. By hiding those conflicts, you save both yourself and your partner from the cycle of miscommunication and frustration that often comes when private family matters are laid out on the table for someone who wasn't there to live through them. Protecting family conflicts is also about guarding the respect your partner has for your roots. If every conversation about your family revolves around drama, dysfunction, or pain, it paints a picture that doesn't reflect the whole truth. No family is perfect, and while yours may have flaws, it's still a part of your identity. Allowing your partner to only see the brokenness creates imbalance, where the negative overshadows the positive. By holding back, you give them the chance to see your family for themselves, to build their own impressions, and to avoid carrying biases that came from moments when you were hurt or angry. This creates healthier interactions down the road. Another reason to hide family conflicts is self-preservation. Every time you retell a painful story, you reopen the wound. What you thought was venting often becomes reliving, and that drains your emotional energy. Relationships work best when both partners protect the energy they bring into the connection. If you constantly pull your partner into your family's chaos, you risk replacing moments of joy and intimacy with endless conversations about problems they can't solve. By keeping those conflicts private, you safeguard the emotional climate of your relationship, allowing it to be a place of refuge instead of another battleground. You also have to consider that not every partner has the same loyalty you do. Family, no matter how complicated, often gets forgiveness and second chances that outsiders don't understand. You might be able to forgive a sibling or a parent after a fight, but your partner may not share that same grace. And once they form an opinion, it can be very difficult to reverse. This can lead to tension not only between you and your partner, but also between your partner and your family, putting you in a constant position of defense. By holding certain conflicts close, you avoid forcing your partner into positions where they feel they must choose sides. Family conflicts are heavy enough without dragging them into a romantic relationship. When you carry them quietly, you give yourself the ability to process them on your own terms without adding the extra layer of someone else's perspective. This doesn't mean you can never share struggles. It just means you choose carefully what is worth sharing and what is better left unspoken. Not every fight, disagreement, or disappointment needs an audience, especially when the audience is someone whose role is to love and support you, not to get entangled in family feuds. At the same time, hiding family conflicts allows your relationship to be built on its own foundation, separate from the noise of extended relatives. It keeps the focus on you and your partner, not on the endless dynamics outside your control. You've earned the wisdom to know that some battles are yours to face privately, some are meant to be handled with time, and some are never worth giving a voice to at all. And when you choose to hold those matters in silence, you honor both your relationship and yourself in ways that words never could. Financial struggles are one of those areas where silence can be wiser than complete transparency, especially in the early stages of a relationship. As an older woman, you've already experienced what it feels like to have money tight, to have debts weighing on your shoulders, or to have unexpected expenses throw you off balance. And while there's no shame in having financial challenges, exposing every detail of your financial struggles to a partner can create unnecessary pressure, judgment, or even shifts in power dynamics. When someone knows every number in your bank account or every bill that keeps you up at night, they may unintentionally begin to view you through the lens of lack rather than the lens of the whole woman you are. Protecting this part of your life allows you to maintain dignity and control over the narrative of your financial journey without feeling like you have to defend, justify, or apologize for where you are. The truth about money is that it changes the way people think, whether they want to admit it or not. When you reveal your financial struggles too openly, you risk altering the way your partner sees the relationship. They might start to feel responsible for fixing your problems, or they might quietly begin to see you as a liability rather than a partner. In some cases, people even use financial vulnerability as leverage, holding it against you during conflicts or questioning your decisions because of what they know about your financial past. By keeping those struggles private, you're not being dishonest. You're being wise enough to protect yourself from the potential misuse of very sensitive information. There's also something empowering about holding your financial struggles close and dealing with them on your own terms. Money is deeply personal, and your ability to manage it, learn from mistakes, and find stability is part of your growth. Sharing those struggles too soon or too openly often takes away that empowerment because suddenly your financial journey is no longer just yours. It's filtered through someone else's opinions, judgments, and expectations. You've worked too hard to let your financial story be dictated by anyone but you, and that's why it's important to recognize the difference between a partner who supports your present and one who needs to know every painful